What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Freed channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and in this video, I'm going to be going over cost per day. For those of you that saw my cost per mile video or didn't see my cost per mile video, you're going to notice that in this video, I have the exact same expenses that I had in that one. If you haven't seen the cost per mile video and you want to see me make a video about that, I already did that a couple days ago. I'll recommend that at the end of this video so you can go watch that. But this one, again, is going to be cost per day. And I'm going to really talk about why I think this is a better way if you're an owner-operator or a fleet owner. I actually do think that cost per day is a better way to know your break-even number, your break-even point per day, per week, per month, because you can use that cost per day to figure out what your break-even is per month. Because cost per mile, the reason I don't think that's the best way to gauge your numbers, I mean, you do need to know your cost per mile for sure, but it's based on how many miles you drove, and how many miles you drive month to month fluctuates. And so it's harder to actually have an accurate like break even number with cost per mile. The best way to do it is to do cost per day, cost per week, cost per month, in my opinion. So I'm going to show you how to figure that out. It's really easy. All of this is really easy to figure out. Cost per mile is easy to figure out. Cost per day is easy to figure out. And this, I believe, is going to help you to know which loads are actually profitable and which loads aren't profitable. A lot of drivers, a lot of owner operators and fleet owners are so focused on cost per mile, rate per mile. And really what they should be concerned about is revenue per day and revenue per month, more than rate per mile. That is more important. And again, I'll show you why in this video. So, like I said, these are the same set of numbers that I had in the cost per mile video, but I can still use these to illustrate the point. So just to be clear, this is all just to illustrate my point, illustrate how to calculate cost per day and how to do it, right? Everybody's expenses are going to be different. Like I said in the cost per mile video, everybody's expenses are different. Some drivers are leased onto carriers and they're power only. Some have a truck and trailer leased onto a carrier. Some people have their own authority. So your insurance costs, your costs are going to be different based on your situation. But again, like I said, you can use this to figure out your own set of numbers and situation. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to first focus here on the fixed expenses. That's what you need to know above anything. What are your fixed expenses? This is how you're going to calculate cost per day. What does it cost you to operate your household? So how much do you need to make every month or every year? So in this example, I put the salary as $6,000 a month. I put medical insurance as $1,000. So that's what you got to pay yourself, $7,000 a month, just to live your life, pay your bills, and cover your medical insurance. Because if you're self-employed, you're going to have to get your own insurance. That is an added cost to being being self-employed. Then you got to add things like truck payment, insurance, ELD, load boards, 2290, your registration, workers' compensation, stuff like that. You want to add up all the fixed costs, all of the costs. Pretty much your fixed costs are everything that all your costs that don't change, they don't fluctuate. Like your variable costs are things like fuel and maintenance, and if you have a driver who's running on cents per mile, his pay is going to fluctuate based on however many miles they do. But this example today is not going to be if you have a driver in the truck. It's going to be if you are a solo owner operator, kind of like how I did it with the cents per mile video. And you can do that. Like I said, you can figure out the numbers with a driver in the truck and do the variable expenses yourself. But like I said, this is for solo owner operators. But with the cost per day, you really just need to know your fixed costs, because the fuel and maintenance and driver pay and all that, and also two things like supplies and stuff like that, that's all variable costs, and I'm going to kind of show you how to figure that out per day, an easy way to do that, and to know your break-even point and whether you're profitable or not. So the main thing you need to know, like I said, is the fixed costs. So I have, in this example, I've added up all these expenses, and the total fixed cost per month is $95.90. And based on 10,000 miles, it's pretty much 96 cents a mile. But the total fixed cost is what you need, $95.90. So then what is the first thing you got to figure out? Okay, you've added up all your costs, and now you need to know, okay, how many days do I stay out a month, or am I going to run this truck a month? This is how you're going to figure out your cost per day. And this is very important, because this is how, again, you're going to know your break-even number. You're going to know whether you are hauling a profitable load or not. So let's say you're going to stay out 21 days at a time. So you're going to put into the calculator the total fixed costs for the month, divide that by 21. Okay, and that's my fixed cost right there, $4.56 a day if you stay out 21 days. Okay, and then you can do this. Say you're like, no, I'm gonna stay out, 24 days. See how it goes down? $3.99 times 20. Let's say you're gonna stay out 28 days. Right? This is why I think it's $3.42. See, it goes down. Your fixed costs go down the more days you stay out, the more days you run. Your fuel costs and everything, and your maintenance costs are going to go up because you're putting more miles on the truck. But this is the best way, in my opinion, to know how much you need to make every day and your break even. I'm going to keep saying that over and over, because it's important that I drill that in your head, that like, hey, it's not about rate per mile. It's really about rate per day. What am I grossing every single day? That's more important. That's going to keep you in business more than rate per mile. 100%. It is. Because you could get a $3 a mile load, but you're sitting on it for 5 days. So you're really not making enough revenue every day to stay in business, as you're going to see. So I'm just going to use 21 days. I think 21 days is a good, 21 to 24 days a month is a great way to calculate this. And because I know a lot of months, most drivers, over-the-road drivers especially, they're going to stay out at least 24 to 25 days a month. But you got to factor in things like once a year, taking a vacation, getting sick, stuff like that, things that happen. So I think 21 days is a good gauge, in my opinion, a good rough number to calculate this by. So pretty much, again, to calculate it, it's easy. You take the fixed cost divided by however many days you plan to stay out every single month. So I'm using 21 days out. Okay, so 456, right? So it's 456, and I'm just going to write this up here so I remember. Okay, let's see. Per day. All right. So now what I need to figure out is, okay, this is pretty easy. How many miles for an over-the-road truck or regional, if you're just doing general freight, how many miles a day can you realistically expect to average? I think about 450 a day. You could realistically expect 450 times 7. Yeah, it's 3150. So I think that's a good rough estimate of however many miles you can average a day. And some people average 500, 550 a day. But let's just go with 450 to illustrate the point. So what I would do is figure out, okay, what's the average fuel cost for nationwide or whatever region you're running in. I'm just going to say you're getting 7 miles per gallon times $3. Okay, at $3 a gallon. So you take however many miles you could expect to run a day on average, divide it by however many miles per gallon your truck gets, times the fuel costs, the average fuel cost. So we have 192 here, okay? Fuel 192. All right, so you add this to the fixed costs, 456, and you've got 648. 648 in this example, okay? All right, so your cost per day in this example is $648 up here, okay? So this is what you need to hit for the 456 a day. If you're running 21 days out, in this example, you would need to hit 456 a day before fuel. Then you figure out fuel based on, if you get a load, and let's say this is a 1,000-mile load and it's 2-day run time. So you pick up Monday, you deliver Wednesday morning. It's pretty much a 2-day load. You take the 1,000 miles, you divide it by, however much miles per gallon you're getting, and multiply it by the average fuel cost you're going to be paying on that trip. And that'll give you your break-even number. So again, I'm just throwing these numbers out there to illustrate the point. But, here 456 your fixed cost, and fuel would be 648, let's say, and that would be on a 900-mile load with the example I just gave. Okay, so 648, if you get a load that's paying $1,600, right, that's $800 a day. That's $800 a day. And let's say you're doing 450 in mileage a day minus the so I'll do minus the total cost, 648. That's 152 a day that you're profiting. See, that's including paying your home expenses, your truck expenses, everything. And then times that by, let's say you're staying out, 21 days, 31.92 a month. So that's your true profit after paying yourself. That's what your business makes. That's what you need to know. I think a lot of people in this business make a huge mistake, and I say this all the time in videos about being an owner-operator. A lot of drivers that become owner-operators make a huge mistake, and they think that everything they make after their truck expenses is what they're making. No, it is not. What your business is making is after you pay yourself. What would I have to pay a driver to run this truck? After that is what the true profit of your business is. That's how you're going to know if you're doing well or not. And that's very important, guys, because you got to think about it. If you're an experienced driver and you can go get 60, 70 cents per mile driving for someone else, you could make that type of money with no risk at all. So you do need to add in that type of pay into your cost as an owner-operator. And if you're running these numbers, if you're looking at cost per mile or cost per day, and you're running these numbers and you're like, man, I'm not making a whole lot more than I would as a company driver, then you don't need to be an owner-operator, because you're honestly just putting a whole lot of money at risk and taking on a whole, a huge responsibility for just a little bit more money. It doesn't make sense. Now, in this example, look, I didn't add a truck payment into the cost per day, right? I didn't add that. So let's say you have, a $2,000 truck payment a month divided by 21 days. That's an extra $95 plus the 456. So you gotta make 551 a day, and then with the fuel costs on this load, 743 a day versus 648. So now it gets a little harder when you do add in a truck payment. This was a debt-free example at 21 days out, right? So, again, that it's very simple. Take all your fixed costs, divide it by however many days you plan to run, on average every single month, and then the fuel costs, it is going to fluctuate. But you need to know your fixed cost per day before fuel. Figuring out the fuel cost is pretty easy too. And again, like I said, that's a better way to know you're on a profitable load versus cost or rate per mile, in my opinion. Because a lot of drivers will do that. They'll sit around waiting for that $3 a mile freight, and when they could have taken that $2 a mile load and actually been more profitable because that $2 a mile load picked up and delivered faster, and they would rather wait and take that $3 a mile load, but that $3 a mile load has a ton of waiting time, a ton of downtime on it, and that's actually costing you money. And so, yeah, and again, what you want to do too is you want to know a weekly amount. So, 95, 90 in this example, divided by 3, right? So 31.96, that's your break even on your fixed cost. 31.96 is your break even before fuel. Before fuel. You need to know that. I have the monthly number here, but you need to know the weekly number. You need to know the daily number. It's very easy to figure this out. And a lot of you that do have truck payments, if you're watching this video, look, I would stay out longer. I would stay out 24 to 28 days, because your fixed costs will go down, and just run really hard, work harder to pay off that truck so that you can drop your costs, your daily costs and your weekly costs and your monthly costs. That's what I would do if I had a truck payment. I would buy the truck, work extra hard to get it paid off, and then that way you can lower your cost and not have to run as hard once you get that truck paid off. But it's very easy to do cost per day. Again, I think it's better. It's easier to know, like, in my opinion, like, hey, man, I just have to hit $456 a day or $500 a day or $380, whatever that cost is. I just have to hit this before fuel, and I'm profitable. you know it's easier because you never know. Again, you never know how many miles are you going to do each month. To get a true average of that, you have to run for about 3 to 6 months, and then you can know what your cost per mile is per truck. You can. But anyway, that's my video for today. If y'all want me to do any more videos like this, I will. But I wanted to do a cost per day video because I do think it's vital to know this. And again, like I said, I keep saying it, I think it's a better way to calculate your costs and know your break-even point and everything, and whether you're profitable or not as an owner-operator than CPM is 100%. So that's my video for today. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching. God bless. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace out.